Hey everybody, this is Alan. Welcome back to the channel, Gibson Garage, Speed Shop, or just Gibson Garage for short. Thank you for tuning in. It's awesome that you're here. You're probably here to see the second part of the transmission rebuild, and that is where we start slapping in all these new parts right here. Now these kits, I got this stuff from eBay. And I did a little bit of research and made sure I just got the basic stuff I needed, seals and clutches, which are in here. The clutches in here. I did not get any bushings. This was ordered separately. I was not sure what I was thinking. I'm not even sure where this goes anymore. I took it out of the wrapper and now I don't know where it goes. But I probably won't be doing it anyway since all my bushings look good in here. And aside from the clutches, you've got the bonded pistons and other things, the accumulator bonded piston there. And not everything I think is going to go to this kit. Obviously some of the basic stuffs like the 2 to 4 clutch O-rings, those are seals. You got the input clutch seals here, low reverse clutch, those are definitely going to have to be replaced because that was one of the clutch packs that burned out. Sub cooler line kit. Or a sub kit. It's a cooler line kit from 91 and up. Just got some clips and some O-rings for the lines. This is a solenoid pack kit. This has got a bunch of interesting ones in there. That's for the solenoid pack. This thing I don't think goes to my transmission. I haven't found anything yet that includes this, but maybe it's something in part of the valve body later that we'll get into. This is a kit for my transmission, 42 RLE external components, random, looks like some crush washers. Not sure what all these do, but hopefully we can find them all. And this one, a sealing ring kit, just a bunch of random ones. Remember these ones here that are on the oil pump that I said kind of looked like they were chrome? Well, so do these ones. So we'll get all those replaced. And some miscellaneous parts. Yeah, thanks, real descriptive. I'm thinking that this thing right here has a screen in it. I might have to definitely find this. I gotta pick all this stuff up and get it out of my way because I gotta make sure the Suburban's running. Got to take a bunch of stuff to the dump. And right now the Suburban actually has the throttle body that's meant for the black pickup. It's got 18-pound injectors and it's all bored out and it's flattened, shaved flat. And it's way too much right now for the little 305 cubic inch engine that's in the truck. And it's almost too much for the 350 in the Suburban. Definitely is not liking the cold starts with it installed on there because the pickup truck is borrowing the throttle body from the Suburban just to run. So we're just gonna reach down in here and grab a bag and start putting them together. Oh goody, the one I didn't want to do. It doesn't say what exactly part it goes to, just a sealing ring kit. Okay, so these big ones here, the silver ones, are metal, in fact, and they have a weird clip on them, but it looks like all 3 of those are gonna go right here. And look at the weird clips. They're like a interlocking clip or interlocking ring. It's weird. So those will go there. These black ones here, there's 2, 4, 6, 8 of them. And I think those go here to these accumulator pistons. Yep. There's 2, 4, 6. And I think the other 2 might be here. This might be where the other accumulator piston is. But we'll save that last set for last when we do the whole valve body. And then you've got these 3 goldish brown ones which go right here on this shaft. You remove this clip here and that bearing, and those are the 3 seals we got to replace there. And be careful, there's a bushing, but it looks like it's in good shape. That might be the one that I actually bought to replace, not realizing that there's, you know, at least 5, 6 more of them, and these guys too. They're pretty worn out, but we're gonna have to rock them. So let's get to replacing these. Okay, now all 3 of these are the same. We're just gonna want to clean them out real good. There's some junk in there. Grab a pick. And these are kind of, well, these are nylon technically. and they just have this split system in here. So we'll wipe all these down, get all the goo out of them. So something I just noticed about those cuts, they are opposite of each other. So there are basically different rings, but they are cut like that in a way. One's cut one direction, the other's cut the other direction. And I just confirmed that by looking at this piston. And then you come up here and look at that one, and it's cut the opposite way. Okay, these unfortunately were all cut the same. So this brand, the Seal Aftermarket Products, is like what you're gonna find in every kit that's offered out there. Maybe other brand, I don't know, maybe there's a Toledo brand that'll have the right cut seals, but we're gonna move on to this guy. And these are all cut the same, pretty straightforward. Just boom. The pump is what goes inside of here. This surface here and this surface here are what go inside of here and ride on that bearing in here, or the bushing in there. And also, thank you, the bearing surface sits on here, spins freely, and then the shouldered part will go inside shoulder is what sits in there. That sits on there, this surface goes in the bushing. So look here for like serious scratch marks and stuff, or serious wear, which I don't see any. So I don't think I'm gonna worry about replacing that bushing in there. But there are 4 of these, not 3, 4 of these metal clad rings. And they have a funky clip. Push one leg in, squeeze around, and push one leg out. There we go. And you can see like that. So slide them apart like this. Alright, putting the first new one back on. And I do notice that one end is painted yellow for whatever reason, but it's easy enough to snap back in place. 2 down, 2 to go. Reach in here and grab one of these out. Okay, so I almost made a big mistake. Good thing I lined them up, because I was like, you know, there's no way that's right. Alright, let's hope this thing comes off.
Yeah, there's no way we would have been able to get that off.
Easy, easy. You gonna come out of there? Yeah, it looks good from a distance, so I think we're okay. Might just need a little tap-a-roo. Alright, so that's what we're looking for. This here is like a big bonded piston. It's held in with this spring washer that's held in with this clip. We gotta, I imagine it's under load. So that's gonna be fun. Alright. I just gotta get that piston out of there. More pink. Okay, well, this is the input clutch. This piece and this piece together is stacked like this. And like this. Or some such shit. But, so you take all the O-rings off of here and out of here. And this is the pile you get. Which is this bag right here. It's even a blue one there. So we'll go ahead and replace those. I did not see a red one, but maybe we'll find that later. So I guess the brown one is gonna go here. It's just, maybe this one wasn't, yeah, I don't know, it's brown now. Then there's Thick Daddy. Goodness. We'll cover all this up in trans lube. It's like a gel grease for transmissions. It'll dissolve once fluid gets up in there. Now the big guys. This one's gonna go here. Wait, this one? No. This one. Okay. We'll put the ridge facing down. You know what I'm gonna do is put all this in here, and then I'll go watch a YouTube video and see if that I did it wrong. Ooh, that's nice. So the input clutch is done as far as the seals go. I might as well just go through and replace all these bonded pistons while they're out too. Just swap them out in their places. There's a few of them here. So I'll do that. And then there's a couple more bags that have some more seals in them. We'll have to figure out where those go. One of the accumulator piston seals, we'll throw that over here. This one's gonna go right here. Set that like that. Then you got this ring which goes here. And this one that goes here. So here's what I'm thinking. Since these both say 1990 and on, I'm thinking if you have the older transmissions, they would have had these seals. But I think the newer versions of them were probably replaced with the bonded pistons. Is my only guess, because I have nothing else left that requires any other seals, except for the pump, which has one big seal, but that's over there. That's not it. And you know, you look at the 2/4 clutch area and you look at the low reverse clutch area, and there's just, that's low reverse clutch pack anyway, which means it would sit inside this assembly, but it's all bonded pistons now. replaced everything else that's got seals and O-rings. I'm thinking we soak some clutches and we start throwing this back together. Alright, so a few things to point out about the frictions in the steels here. The steels have 3 different styles. There's 8 of the larger diameter, 4 skinny steels, and 4 thick steels. And then you've got 8 of the smaller diameter that appear to all be the same. Now the frictions, you only have 2 styles. You have large and small diameter. But also I noticed that these are not as good as OEM, probably because all of these frictions just have lines going in one direction. All of them, just one direction, while the original ones are going in at 4 different directions. So they're orientated only 2 directions, but they're, you know, you can tell there's 4 different cuts or whatever. So there's that. These were not Seal aftermarket products. So I thought I was getting all good stuff. These are Seal aftermarket stuff. These are good, right? These are all original packaging, but the eBay store I bought the stuff from is, you know, picking and choosing parts and putting it all in one box here. And the clutches I got are not up to OEM standard, probably, since all these lines are just going in one direction. So that's something to look out for. Look for frictions that have the lines going in at least all the same directions as your original ones here. So just a quick word of caution before we get into the time lapse. If you are doing a shift kit, first of all, make sure you figure out if you have VLP or non-VLP. The difference is going to be this wiring setup right here on the valve body. This little bit of wiring here and these 2 solenoids. As you can see on my valve body, I don't have any of that. I do not have VLP. I just assumed I did. We all know what happens when you assume. So there's a difference between VLP and non-VLP. And then also, if you, regardless of which one you're going to do, there is a part of this shift kit that you're going to have to remove all of this stuff to do. This, starting in the very back, is this non-shrinking gasket that you just saw me install in that last bit of time lapse. And then these rings here are a common failure point for this input hub here. That guy right there. They have you stick this wire behind the sealing ring, making this ring poke out further, right? So this is also probably a hair larger. Who knows? I'm not sure. But that, and then also all of your accumulator seals are set up the same way. Just the bottom ends of them anyways. They're all going to get this extra wire inside the ring, pushing the rings out wider. And then of course the rest of the kit includes all the valve body fixes, but like I said, I ordered the wrong one. If you do need non-VLP, your part number is SK604. If you need VLP, your part number is SK42RLE-VLP. A concaved plate with these fingers holding this inner piston up a little too high. So we're going to set that in place, press down this inner piston just enough to put that snap ring in place. So after taking a closer look at these clutches, there does appear to be 4 thicker ones and 5 skinnier ones, as there seems to be here as well. So we'll just match up the right steels with the right frictions over here and lay them into place, and we'll get this in the case down there. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm actually getting excited. This thing feels like it's almost done to me. We just got to get the pump taken apart here. I'm going to just check it out and make sure we get all the old pink fluid out of there, and that there's nothing seriously wrong with the gears that are inside of there. I already replaced these. I just need to replace this, bolt it back together, and then I can go sliding on into here and get bolted down, and then that is basically done. These are all the pieces I replaced. A bunch of seals and rings and bonded metal pistons. Those are still new. Those I think go to that 4th accumulator that's hiding in there somewhere, which we'll do later. And yes, I am a little disappointed that I have to put all this back together without the shift kit, because I had ordered the wrong one, you know, 4 VLP, variable line pressure. And I do not have variable line pressure. While I could use some of those pieces, probably most of them, I can't be 100% sure that everything else is really correct for this transmission. I don't know enough, right? I'm just an idiot that's never done this before, and I'm taking this apart for the first time and doing the best I can with the most obvious stuff here. And you know, I think it's because I got lucky 2 times before with the 4L60. I rebuilt my transmission and I built a friend's transmission in a Tahoe, and they're both still running strong, shifting great, flawlessly, like thousands of miles later, and it's great, you know. So that can give you confidence, right? And really busting into this thing, it doesn't seem, well, it's actually easier than the 4L60 because I didn't need any special tools at all. The press did help out a little, but it's, you know, so I'm confident it should work. There's just those natural issues that they have in here that those shift kits are supposed to correct, that I'm wondering if the clearances are too far gone. I'm gonna put it all back together and it'll still be slipping, you know, right away, or eventually soon it starts slipping again, you know, just because of the inherent problems with the clearances in some of those pistons. So that's the only thing that kind of disappoints me about this whole thing. But if it doesn't work, we'll take it apart once the shift kit gets here, and we'll install that and hope that fixes it. It'll be an extra video at least. So there's some bluing on this. I don't know if that's normal or if that means it got overheated during operation. Bearing looks good. Looks really good. I'll throw some grease on here, bushing I should say.
Did you get all the metal out?
This silver. Well, there's no metal in there.
Or the metal shavings and stuff from the window.
Oh, that was on this thing.
Oh.
That was just the thread, the nut cutting its threads, because they got a little damaged from the old nut coming off. That's nice. Look at this. So this is a pump. This is a gear pump. This is how the fluid gets transferred through your transmission. Through like vacuum of this gap. It sucks in the fluid, and then as it goes through the tight spaces, it squeezes it through the system.
So it just spins like that?
Yeah. So the torque converter will actually, this big thing down here,
Yeah.
that will lock into this. This will be exposed, and that will lock into this, and the other end of that torque converter locks to the engine, bolts to the engine. Now there's this rubber seal to replace, and then there's also the shaft seal in the center underneath, which you're gonna want to do when these two pieces are apart. Put a coating on this lip inside here too. Now, which way does it go? And now we're going to slip these accumulators in here. Nice and oily like. And just make a mess out of it, not even caring. Karen.
I was just gonna say Karen.
Just your thumb and bingo. Now the valve body will hold these two down. So I guess it's time to get into that. We could maybe find some O-rings and throw these sensors in, but that's boring. Oh my gosh, I messed up. I did not push this clip into that groove. You can see there's a groove there. This is one of those Bellevue springs right underneath here, and it is not sitting in there. Okay, don't forget the gasket. I forgot about this package of stuff sitting over here, and the seal. I'm not doing my seal because it didn't leak. I did find this guy. That's pretty awesome. That goes here, around right here, right? But this guy's not in there, and that goes around this thing, and that's the one I think was leaking. Also, I realized where the copper washers go. So these are crush washers, so these have to be replaced to get a good torque value. We'll put those guys in and torque her down. So I'm just going to get into here now, and just in an effort to get rid of all the old fluid, since we're not doing a shift kit, you know, I'm not sure what we're going to accomplish besides replacing a few seals and screens, maybe, if they're included. I have to go see if I can find them. We're going to start with removing this solenoid block, and that's going to be these 4 bolts here, which is a T25, despite what the guy in the uniform said. Look at all that milky stuff, and that's why we're taking it apart. Just to drain it of all that, if nothing else. So this filter is pretty nasty, all full of pink stuff. We'll wipe that out, and then I'll set it in there to sort of clean it. This kit did not include any valve body stuff. So we're just going to open it up to let it drain and clean it up and put it back together. Just unscrew this plate here. Has the detent for this guy, and we're into this other accumulator now finally. And we can install those last 2 rings that were in the kit. Get the pink fluid off of here. Put it all back together in a minute. This should come off now. Yeah. Okay. Now we can flip it over and take apart the 2 halves just to let it drain again, because I've got no shift kit. Ooh, look at that. It's like a shotgun barrel. Now this thing will lay a lot more flat, and check balls won't be going all over the place. Dang, there's a lot. Just making sure these are all the same size before I just dump them out. I got a huge, you know, just want to dump them all upside down. Alright, this is cleaned up. This is cleaned up, got new seals on it. This is all wiped down. This is how your it knows what gear you're in. Those 4 little dots just touch these 4 little lines, and that's the really only electrical part of that. That's cleaned up. This is draining, and while that's doing that, I'm going to take this separator plate off and inspect a little something here. I'll show you guys in a sec. That's a thing there. That's something. Ooh, that is something. Cool. I think that's all that should fall out of this thing. Let's go for it. Yeah, that's a lot of contaminated fluid that would have went back in there. We got some grimy gray stuff. So according to the interwebs, there's a hole right here that needs to be drilled out just a tiny bit to no larger than 106 thousandths. Right now it's somewhere around, I don't know, whatever a 3/32 drill bit is. But unfortunately a 7/64 drill bit, which is the next 64th step up, is too much. That's like 109, a little over 109 thousandths. So we're going to take the 3/32 that just barely fits in here and just wallow it out a little. As long as this 7/64 drill bit does not end up fitting in it, we didn't go too big. And I can already tell that did do something. Okay, that might be as large as I dare to try it. We're gonna call that good. All right, it's that easy for me anyways this time. That's all I can really do. And just put it back together now that I've got all the nasty fluid drained out of it. I'm gonna have to refer to my photos. Dang it, I like to see how far I can go without looking at the photos, and then I look at the photos and realize I've got to go back a few steps to fix something I forgot. Because one of these, I think it's that one, it's really close clearance. It has to be centered perfectly for you to get that one screw in. The rest of them have a little bit more slop, but just make sure. Alright, got the new range selector. This is in one piece. No corrosion, no busted pins. So now we can slide this back in here. A little bit of grease on some of these. They are a little tight. There we go. All right. Put our gasket on it. And we can set it on the transmission. Alright, one last grommet it looks like, and that's this feeder tube for the rear bearing. I think this is also something that's going to be specific to the Chrysler, or to the two-wheel drive maybe, but it just sits in a little hole back there, and I think this tube is just meant to feed that rear bearing. It did come with the new gasket. That's gonna go right there, and that's meant to press up against this hole right here.
You got mail
Oh yeah?
from California.
Oh, fun. I know what you're saying. It's not going to seal now because I'm using Ford sealant. It's a risk I'm willing to take, I think. Don't forget this little guy, or you'll be opening up your pan again. Alright, just wheeled it into place. It fell right into place. The tilt of the motor's a little off right now because, you know, it's off. But you can see the gap is good, everything's lined up. And yeah, it was really easy. A little disappointed. I mean, having the jack already lined up and the transmission just fall right in, the torque converter just fell right in. I mean, no, I'm not disappointed at all. Now that I've got a couple bolts started on the bell housing, I'm gonna put this rear transmission cross member in so I can get this jack out of the way. Alright, transmission is hung back in. Why does it seem like that took no time at all compared to getting it out? God. Oh, I still have a million bolts and connectors to put back together. Maybe that's why. Well, the transmission's in. Got all the connections on, all the bolts tightened. Starter's in. Starter gave me some trouble. Stinking thing. That shim that's in there, if that's bent or warped at all, man, that rubs against the flywheel. Motor mounts on, or the transmission mounts on. Just have this connection here, and this other one over there is actually the O2 sensors for the Y pipe. I just gotta put the dipstick tube in, fill it up with fluid and flush out these lines because the cooler has still got contaminated fluid in it. I've got to hook up the drive line, and I have to hook up the Y pipe and the rest of the exhaust. Alright, we have got a mess. It's the next morning, and we are ready to get the rest of this stuff put on, starting with the drive line, I believe, and then the heat shield and the two caps, the rest of the exhaust, and all that plastic stuff. And I still got to run to the store and get the some fluid before we can put it in gear. So we need to get started. Found it. Oh my gosh, I found it. That was easy first try. You think that's too much play? Okay, so here we are under the car. So much fun. I've got this transfer pump here hooked up to the cooler lines of the transmission. It doesn't matter which is which. We're gonna pump the fluid all the way on through here. When we pump all this stuff out, hopefully we'll see the bad fluid getting replaced by the good fluid. I just have a quart of ATF plus 4, which is supposed to be in Chrysler transmissions. And yes, this is the 42 RLE, which I think is a Chrysler transmission, not the NAG 1, which is actually a Mercedes transmission. Okay, all right, away. Oh. It's still coming out nasty. Oh my goodness. Looks like it's starting to get a little better, but and there's everything all buttoned up from the back to the front. Well, I finished everything up. Now I just got to put this fluid in it. We'll start it up. I'm not sure the best way to do this. I'm kind of leery to just start it and let it go. But I don't think I have any other choice. This is supposed to take 8.8 quarts, and I have maybe, well, now, aside from this one, I had maybe a half a quart in there in the torque converter. That's pretty much it. And I hear the torque converter can hold 4 quarts, like a whole gallon. Here we go, here's the start. Let's see if it shifts in reverse. Okay, put my foot off the brake. And it's working. Brake. Drive. 3. Let's go all the way low. And I do not have a check engine light. That's good. I have an airbag light. Okay, neutral works. Park works. Okay, that's 8 quarts plus a little bit that was in there. We should be right about there. We might be like a half a quart, maybe less than a half a quart shy of the 8.8, but here we go. Should start just fine. No brake. Let's put on the reverse. So far it's working.
Yeah, switching nicely. Ooh.
That was a burnout.
Really?
That was a reverse burnout in the mud.
In the grass?
Yeah. Trip A, let's reset it. 0. That way we can keep track of how many miles we're putting on the transmission. All right, we're just in drive, so it's gonna shift through the gears on its own. Wow, it's really responsive.
Yeah.
I barely stepped on it. I'm gonna go right first. Wow.
This feels great. Way better than before, honestly. I can
it's
already
not
tell.
soft at all.
No.
There's the shift. Shifted solid. I wouldn't even think that you feel the shift in these cars, but getting up to speed, 35, 40. It's shifting just fine. My RPMs are dropping. I'm up just over a grand. 1,500 at 40 miles an hour. No, like 1,300 at 40 miles an hour. Feels good. That's gonna do it, man. This thing works. I'm so stoked. This is the second type of transmission I built, the third transmission I've built overall, and so far I'm 3 for 3. So happy about it. Give me a high five, bro.
It's awesome.
Yes, and it's his car actually, so now he can go take a driver's test in it and get used to driving. But I appreciate you guys hanging in there this long. I got a feeling this video is going to be pretty long, so until next time, if you have made it this far, actually first, since it's such a long video, why don't you hit that like button for me, tell me what you think. Go ahead and subscribe, hit the bell, and I'll see you in the next video.